In 1993, a young Ryan Giggs stood over a free kick for Manchester United. A day earlier, Premier League leaders Aston Villa had lost to Oldham Athletic. Mathematically, United had won the league. But for Giggs, that wouldn't have crossed his mind in that moment. He was about to show the world what he had in his locker. He blasted the free kick over the Blackburn Rovers wall and into the net. It was the cherry on top of Manchester United's season, and the first ever season of the Premier League, where the men in red had played a game of grit and late-game determination, fighting their way through opposition like it was a war rather than a match. It was a team made up of English talent through and through, Steve Bruce at the back and Lee Sharp domineering the middle of the pitch. And if it wasn't English, it was British. On the bench, talented young Englishmen like Neville and Beckham lay in wait, eager to prove themselves. This was before the world knew that Neville would be charging down the right flank for years to come, or that David Beckham would elevate the game from a sport to a global phenomenon. This is the world of United 93 and British football across the island. We all know what followed this first ever Premier League season. The league has slowly become the world's footballing stage. Teams with the best talent, the best facilities, and the most money. All of it on the very fields where it all began for the sport. This spectacular creation means English teams have never had it better. So why then is English football facing its most dangerous challenge yet, as its young talents gasp for air and its coaches struggle to make their mark? English football has a problem. Nearly 30 years later, and it's the blue side of Manchester at the centre of the Premier League title race. The 21-22 season had left football fans around the world breathless, and when the dust had settled on a season where both Man City and Liverpool had racked up more than 90 points, Man City had emerged victorious, with a team brimming with talent. Talent meticulously curated by their footballing conductor Guardiola. Players with technical powers that would see them dominate the Premier League for years to come. But this time, the team at the centre of one of England's biggest cities hadn't done it with a team of players from the heartland of the nation, but rather an international cast of global superstars, the best in class. When you take a closer look at the caps of that title-winning squad, it becomes clear. A lot of the English players were along for the ride. The city was represented in name, but not in personnel. And this same story is unfolding at every single club at the top of the footballing pyramid of the nation. It's clear that since the moment United took those first steps into the Premier League, something had flipped across the professional English football fields. During the same time that City, with their Galactico squad, battled it out with other English giants across the nation, English teams dominated Europe. Half of the teams in the 2019 Champions League quarter-finals were English, and the eventual final would see Liverpool face Spurs. Amazingly, throughout this entire time, England manager Gareth Southgate was looking for a defensive midfielder to complete his squad, and he couldn't do it. He would tell the media ahead of Euro qualifiers that he had started to look in the Championship. There were simply no options left in the Premier League. At a time where English clubs couldn't have been flying higher, the national team was in the midst of a selection crisis. Southgate would leave the press conference saying he feared for England's future, with less than 30% of Premier League starting players being English, a trend that was dropping each season, and how he feared for the thousands of academy talents who would be trying to break into a league where they weren't welcome. It's easy for us to see that the Premier League is the richest league in the world, overflowing with teams looking to build squads perfect in every way. It makes it harder for them to wait for players to develop. They need superstars. They need the best in the business to deliver the goods today. Even the young English talent face competition to be the next in line with talents from around the world. The real question is, why did it happen here? Why did the very country that gave football to the world become the one where its own players can't find a place? Before Match of the Day, Haaland and Romano Fabrizio, there was the British Empire. From its islands in Oceania to its ice caps in Canada, the empire spread the globe. I'm sure it wasn't at the top of their minds during this time, but in conquering most of the world, they also planted the seeds for football grassroots to take hold in every tiny corner of our planet. Planted by the pioneers of the British Isles, where football had swept the nation. The sport was as British as it gets. Across their colonial holdings, football became that bridge to their homeland, a gentlemanly way to show your strength, sportsmanship, and athletic ability, without having to go to war. A way to compete with your neighbors and represent your people, your workplace, your culture. Football was being played far from its home, but all of its thousands of roads led back to misty Great Britain. While English clubs were already battling for the FA Cup, the Wild West was still in full swing in America. Just years after the Civil War, Japan had only just begun its transformation, leaving the age of the samurai behind, and South America's elites were only just beginning to stabilize their young nations. But in time, each of them, every continent, every culture, would fall in love with the game. Because England didn't just invent football, they showed the world how to play it. In South America, football was being played by British railway workers and teachers who established leagues and clubs. Football was a cultural weapon for the British, a way to integrate the world in their ways, and the world adopted it gladly, merging it with their own cultures and approaches. But little did they know what this initial footballing spark that they unleashed on the planet would mean for their beloved game back home, for the young talents, their clubs, and their game into the future. Throughout this time, football might have become the world's game, but the game's home would always be Britain. That is where it all began, and it was the bedrock of the sport. Hundreds of clubs, players, and organizations, it's no wonder that even today, alongside the Premier League, English football has labyrinths of leagues and divisions spanning the island. England is patient zero. The epicenter of the game can still be found here, but today, this epicenter lives in the shadow of their own creation. The game's success around the globe means a division outgrowing the very foundations of the game was always a possibility, and it looks like that has become the Premier League. A league for the game, not the nation. England, the inventors of the sport, the ones who spread it around the globe like a wildfire, their top division has become the stage for the world, and they have to share that stage with every other nation, not just on the pitch, off it as well, with the best in the business making their pilgrimage to the league. Managers, coaches, and analysts, English football has started to gasp for air as their clubs struggle to keep up with the demands of the world. It's no wonder every season it's looking more likely that the three sides that make it up from the championship will fall right back down after just one season in the Premier League. And those who do survive are handed the world, millions in prize money, and the eyes of a football-obsessed planet. Smaller clubs compete with the demands of the world, but they're still built on the budgets of towns, cities, or neighborhoods. This is England's reality, and that same pain can be felt by its players. It resulted in the league implementing homegrown player rules. But even these rules are riddled with loopholes and backdoors for clubs that can't afford to fill their ranks with players that still need to catch up. From the moment a young English player kicks a ball, they're not just up against their peers, they're up against the world. It's no wonder these players have started to opt for an early exit. Stories of players leaving these footballing shores behind to develop in overseas leagues has become an all too familiar story. Entering the Championship, League One or Two, could mean obscurity and disappearing into the English footballing labyrinth. So they join leagues in the Netherlands, Norway, Germany, and Italy, leagues where they join other players from those nations who are able to develop their skills until the day they attempt to make the pilgrimage to the Premier League. The English built the game, and then they built the ultimate arena. But now they must face the fallout of their own success. Do you think the Premier League is beneficial for the English game? Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. Have a great day and goodbye.